Okay. Where did we leave off from last week? Huh?
Oh, I don't remember.
What?
I don't remember.
Okay. It wasn't last week. It was the week
Yeah,
before
2 weeks
last.
ago, yeah.
Okay. Let's do this. Did we talked about silence and sound on here?
I think we went into that.
Anyone have any questions from last class?
Nothing yet.
We went over the divas too.
No, just the Maha-Bindus.
Okay, let's go into. We talking about the tatvas, and one of the big components of the tatvas is sound. It's silence and sound. So when we talk about the tatvas, or you may hear me say Tavik. These, in the ancient terms, they call them modes of motion. Now, of course, when we want to talk about it in modern times, it's still modes of motion, but you need a little bit more clarification than this. Is what it is? It's a combination of, it's actually patterns of energy. Okay? Or let's say energies. And energies is nata, which is sound, subtle sound. It can be mind. Prana. It can be the love energy. It can be, because the combination of it is karma. Like it can be karmic pressure. It can be also intelligent movement within the movement, which is Vijnani. It's also the mahabhutas. Right? And all of this is Shati. So, and of course, the flow of Shati is what? You know, nadis. So tatvas is a combination of all these energies moving to bring about a resort. And usually the resort of tavic rays is a realm of existence. Okay? So that you can understand what the tatvas are, the whole thing we're talking about is talking about the subtle energy behind the realms of existence in which we live right now. Now, what is the canvas of all of this? And very few people get this right. And it's silence. Because what is silence? Silence, if you want to describe silence, silence is absolute, or God. And this is the canvas of all life. All life is written on the canvas of silence. Because why? Silence is real. If just before I speak, there's silence. So in my speech, what happens? Out of silence, which is reality, comes this sound, right? This is sound. We put it on a graph. But what happens to that sound?
It returns to silence.
It
Peaks and
returns to silence. So it goes up, but it always returns to silence. silence is reality, the mystics tell us because why?
It doesn't change.
It doesn't change. And in silence, some people look at silence as zero, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what zero have in relationship to silence? Right? Zero has what? Potential. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because zero means nothing if you don't say what after zero.
Another number?
Yeah, if you don't say a number. If you don't say 1, 2, 3, and it keeps going forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing in the other direction. -1, -2, -3. See, zero is that potential of anything. Ground zero is a static, endless potential. The same way silence is. Silence is a static, endless potential. From silence, you can bring anything. You can bring anything. And when we look, the most powerful things operate in what?
Silence.
In silence. See? So when you look at it, your person's mind is very powerful. And it operates in what? In silence. See? So so and then it's hard to pull this power out of silence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when we reduce, when we try to express mind, we end up expressing maybe 2% of it, and we get good maybe 10%. We get real good maybe 30%, right? But it's very hard to produce 100% of it. Okay? Because why? Because the sound can only peak so high before it falls.
Mm-hmm.
And a person's attention span to listen to you only goes so far before it falls. So it must return back to silence or mind, or back to its own consciousness. Now, the reason why the mystics say go into the silence, so that you can get to know who?
So,
God, the absolute. And what is God, the absolute, in relationship to you? Is spirit and soul. See? That's how we tap into our power, by going back into the silence. See? Because in silence, we can control our imagination to the point where we can control the subtle body, the subtle energies. There's enough energy within any one body to move a mountain. you know.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way we'll tap into this is by practice, by constant practice of yoga, of various forms of yoga techniques that have us to tap into this energy over lifetimes. So that's why the yogis always talk about going into the silence, because in the silence is this what's called the endless, or really the limitless, endless, right?
Mm-hmm. Potential.
Potential of power, all right? Okay? So that's what silence is. Silence is a static, limitless, endless potential of power. That's what it really is. And that's why we go into the silence. And that's why we use various techniques to go into the silence. Because in a silent operation is all of this. Even nata, which nata, shati cannot exist without nata. Because why? Because the teachings tell us that in the initial creative phase of the universe, from the absolute, which is complete silence and complete endless potential, came the holy sound, which they described as vak. And this holy sound carried with it the initial sound to spur creation, which it created a sound, and this sound went out. And when it went out, it went out as involution, and when it comes back as evolution, back to the complete silence. But it was done through nata shati, because it was a nata. The sound is supreme. Nata means supreme, subtle sound, and they described it as a soundless sound. So it was soundless. It was on an ultrasonic level, which makes it soundless, but it had all the qualities of sound. And all the qualities of sound, what it did, it created, it brought forth the ability to have intelligent movement without the appearance of intelligence. So if you can imagine, there was a grid, and this grid is a vibration. And let's say between here and here is less than a millimeter. But this is the nata. This is the nata wave, right, of shati. And nothing can move without messing with one of these waves. And this grid, you can look at it as a comic grid, because it creates what?
All movement.
It creates all movement, but it creates pressure towards conformity. See, so if you look at it like that, that's what it is.
Is only the absolute or the spirit capable of producing nata sound?
No. All of us create sound at different levels. See, so you have, if we look at it in the stages, you have the absolute, right? Mm-hmm. Let's skip the whole universe and everything. But you really can't skip it. But you have the absolute that creates this nata sound, right? Mm-hmm. Which is dead from vak. But the nata is nata shati, right? Mm-hmm. And then if we look at it on a universal level, then you have the what keeps this sound in perpetuation, right? Do you know?
The love energy.
The galaxies. Let's look at it from So the galaxy is what?
Lord of creation.
Yes, a lord of creation. It's an entity, right?
Yes.
Spell entity. Is that right?
E-N-T-I-T-Y, I think.
Is it T-Y? That's right?
I think
I
is
don't
it
know.
E-N-T-I-T-Y, I think.
N-E-T-Y?
T-I-T-Y. I think that's right.
Okay. So, but also the mystics tell us that the galaxy or galaxies or galaxy is actually Jehovah. That's the Jehovah of the Bible. So, so when they spoke about Jehovah, they was referring to the galaxy. When they spoke about God, they was referring to the sun, which is two different things. So you had the galaxy, and then you have the solar system, right, within the galaxy, right? All of these are what they do. The galaxy release a sound in the same way, and from this and from that galaxy, from the sound that the galaxy release, the solar system as an entity release a sound as well. They repeat the sound of the absolute, each one of them, and then from there you have the suns of each solar system repeats the sound again. Okay?
Is it the same sound or like a step down in evolution?
It's a sound for that particular realm of existence.
Okay.
Because each one of these are different realms of existence. Right? Although we could see them, we can, we could see the galaxies from our point of view. But of course, the mystics know that in the galaxies are visible and invisible. Just like our sun, we see one aspect of our sun, but there's many, many aspects of our sun. There's visible aspects of the sun, and then there's invisible aspects of the sun. So we understand that. But the word is being repeated by all aspects of the sun in order to perpetuate life.
Right.
So the sun releases the sound too. And then the planets, right? The planets release a sound as well, right? They release their version of the sound or aspect of the sound. And then, of course, the moons release their aspect of the sound. And even the asteroids release their aspect of the sound. So you have, because all of them are bodies, are celestial bodies.
And so like every life form on Earth releases a sound.
Releases a sound. So then when you get to the human, right, we release a sound as well. Now, of course, we release a sound and don't even know we release a sound because our sound is what?
It's the breath.
It's the breath. Right? It's a breath on one level, but then on another level it's a conscious sound, in other words. Because the human is inhibited to a certain degree. We have a higher aspect of ourselves that repeats a sound that becomes mechanical on the lower levels in order to sustain our life in what's called cycles. Okay? So, and that's why we turn to everything else and look for cycles. Because we live in cycles. But these entities don't necessarily live in cycles. And if they do, they live in multiple cycles of dimension in order to do what? In order to sustain life. But we live in these mechanical cycles because our consciousness is split up in so many different parts that we are totally unaware of. These entities are aware of the many different levels of consciousness and existences that they exist in, and they have purpose when we don't realize our purpose. And the animal don't realize that purpose. The animals that's behind us, and the plant kingdom, and and they have the devic realms in order to help us, and we have the devic realms in order to help us too. Because in our subconscious instinctive level, the devic kingdom carry on certain operations for us in conjunction with our subconscious mind, and from the directions of the superconscious mind of ourselves as well. But we release that sound, and the sound is our breath. The physical sound is our breath. The subtle sound is a series of sounds. And even the medical doctor have realized that the nose and the heart release a sound in order to sustain us. The fingers, especially the thumb, has a sound. The ports to go through our body is a sound. So they find these sound mechanisms throughout our body in order to keep us conscious. When those sounds go out, the body begins to deteriorate and we begin to exit the body. So there's a sound. That sound vibration is carried throughout the creation or the manifested world, which is nothing but aspects of the absolute anyway. And behind all of that, behind this grid, behind the sound is silence, because the sound have to return. And why? And let's say this is creation itself, right? You have involution and then you have evolution. And between all of this is all of that. So that's what the whole silence, the mystic silence that they talk about, is tapping into this tremendous power that allow us to do anything, absolutely anything. And that's the goal of yoga. And yoga, the word yoga means making union with God. You make union with God by doing what? Working on the silence and the breath of the silence. Okay, and the mind of the silence. Okay? So that's what the tatvas, that's one of the great secrets of the tavic science. We have questions?
Loretta said you answered it already. So at conception, is there a Vok-like sound produced?
For what? For the
incoming.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. What you mean? When you say inception, you're saying like
conception, like when the sperm and the egg come together.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
fertilized.
sure there's a sound. That's why a woman is called psychic man. Woman means psychic man, meaning that they are the psychic aspect of the whole. Because a human being, a complete human being, is male, female, female, male. Okay, so when the heterogeneous when the homogeneous creature separated and created the heterogeneous bodies, the psychic part of that homogeneous person moved on as woman, and the logic, physical so-called part of that being went on as a man. So now the woman have to bear the weight of being the portal in which all life enter this world. So she walked away with the greatest secrets for mankind. So unbeknown to herself she instinctively is connected to the psychic world, and she says the right things and do the right things, and guide herself with the right cycles
Mm-hmm.
of this existence in order to continue life.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's why she naturally and unconsciously raised Kundalini in order to bring life into the world
Mm-hmm.
and bring the Kundalini back down and and do it again when necessary, even if she don't even realize it. But her body is made up in that fashion to do that. So, that's why it's very hard for men to understand women, simply because of that. Because they don't understand. They can't understand unless they is a mystic man who can tune into those things. They won't see the value and the understanding of that.
So then, is the separation of the whole into male and female, is that similar to the separation of the nadis into Ida and Pingala? Or are those two separate?
Um, I don't like to put it like that because in order to have male, you need Ida and Pingala to come together. In order to have female, you need Ida and Pingala. But it's the rotation in which they make that makes them different.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? If you study chemistry, you'll understand that it's the electronic configuration that makes something black and make the other thing blue.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, they have all the same parts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's just the point in which they enter the electronic magnetic spectrum, which is nothing but the rainbow
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that produce the color of their existence. So it's the same thing with us. So I know it's all this kind of complex. I may not be doing a good job of explaining it, but I mean, there's a lot that we can go into on this. But it's
Okay. So when you said from nada wave, then comes mind. So could I say that nada wave is like the universal mind of all
yeah,
creation?
it is.
Okay.
In fact, if you look at the principles of Shakti, there's supposed to be 4 principles of Shakti, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first principle, you remember what the first principle of Shakti is?
No.
Is the Vijnani, right? Vijnan, right?
Mm-hmm.
That really is nata acting as intelligent movement
Mm-hmm.
or the universal consciousness. Now, right after that comes what? Chitta, which is what?
Universal mind.
Universal mind. But above that is the intelligence in which that universal mind will act as.
Okay.
In other words, you had a framework of karma. All of them are karmic signatures.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But first you have the Vijnani, which is the consciousness, the intelligent movement that everything will govern itself by.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first Shakti principle. Then the second Shakti principle is the universal mind that it will operate in. And then the third principle is the prana, in which it will respond to what? The mind.
Mm-hmm.
It responds to mind, and it responds to the intelligent movement governed by karma,
Mm-hmm.
which is Vijnani. And then you have the fourth principle, which is love, which will dictate the length of time that all of this stay in existence.
Mm-hmm.
We live by the grace of God, and that's what the ancient people was talking about. So it all fall into a pattern. and one cannot operate without the other.
Mm-hmm.
One cannot exist without the other. But of course, love energy is the thing that sustains it. So it's the greatest. It's the last, but it's the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
It really is not the last. It was there all the time,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it's the last so that we can understand it.
So that's why when Dr. King says if there's one word he removed from the English language, it's coincidence, because everything is according to order. Or
Everything is according to order, yeah. Everything. And then on top of all of that is the silence behind it,
Mm-hmm.
because everything is built on that silence. See, the silence become the canvas board of life. It's the signature of God.
Mm-hmm.
Silence is. So everything is built on silence,
Mm-hmm.
which is everything is built on the will of God, on the canvas of God.
So everyone feel free to ask any questions you may have in the chat, and I'll go ahead and read them out.
I know this is a hard subject to deal with. I would think it is.
So when you perform a samyama on something, you're just attuning yourself to the sound that that particular thing or entity makes, and acquiring those traits.
Yeah, it's in a sanyama. Yeah, in a sense, because what you're going to do, you're going to look at the pattern in which the energies are rotating, and then you try to create that rotation within you,
Mm-hmm.
or that pattern within you.
Mm-hmm.
So, to fit you. Now it takes a level of contemplation or meditation in order to do that,
Mm-hmm.
because in most cases, if you're looking at like the way Swami Vivekananda talked about it, or Dr. George King, they talked about it, was that they looked at, they did a sanyama on an elephant. Of course, the elephant doesn't, the elephant body parts, organs are totally different from ours,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense. Similar but different. So you would have to distinguish the two.
Mm-hmm.
See, so because there's a greater level of self-consciousness and a shorter distance to your higher self within you than in the elephant.
Right.
So all that had to be accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have to be able to uh, do enough contemplation or meditation in order to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So if nobody have any questions, I guess we can end, or they can ask questions on other subjects that they might want to understand.
Let's see, what's next week? Next week is
There's no other questions on any other subjects.
nothing so far.
Okay, so
Couple just came in.
hmm?
Let's see. What happens to a person if they choose spiritual selfishness after reaching nirvana? So rather than help men, they go into bliss.
To I understand, that's rare that happened, but if it do happen, then they have to die and come back. They only put more uh, layers of karma on themselves, because spiritual development is about service. And the only thing we have to do is look at the sun, the earth, and everything around us that's greater than us. They give of themselves 24/7. So even if they push through and can concentrate for 12 hours on one thing and enter into contemplation, meditation, and they go to the Buddhic realm of cosmic consciousness, of samadhi and cosmic consciousness, and they still determine not to help mankind, then they, they won't be able to ascend. They have to come back and be of service to mankind before they can ascend. So that's just the law. That's what all the great masters that reveal themselves as masters can't have told us. And nature told us that too.
Is there a time frame when souls are reincarnated as in a specific waiting period.
I don't understand that.
So is there a waiting period between when someone passes on this realm and is reincarnated again?
It all depends on their pattern of karma. You know, what has been noticed and stated by yogis, adepts, mystics that have came here and talked about the incarnation and reincarnation cycles. They have said that it seems as though the ones who the entities who are highly advanced, it takes them a long time to come back to Earth. The ones that unless they have a mission, if they have a mission that they must complete, karma make it so that they can come back to Earth quick, right? Because if they manipulate a karma enough to finish that mission, and mankind is ready for that. Like say, if everything works, if everything clicks, and mankind is ready for that particular mission or knowledge or service, then they find themselves being reincarnated very quick. If they don't, and they have advanced to a point where there's not too many people that can prepare themselves to bring them to be the portal for them to come to Earth, then it takes a long time for them to come to Earth. So that's what the masters have told us. And normally it takes a long time for a person. But the average person can be reborn every 60, 70, 80 to 100 years. You know, sometimes less than that. Mm-hmm. The average person, they come back real quick. But the more advanced people, it takes a long time because they have to find the right family, right situation, in order to be able to continue their work. So, but as mankind move more into a spiritual existence, then it'll be easier for the spiritual people to come back here on Earth.
So to follow up with that, if two spiritually minded individuals wanted to have a child, should they, or are there like practices they should do for a specific time period to help prepare themselves to bring in the highest quality?
If they live in their life true, they just do that. Not saying that everybody that come through don't go be spiritual, because we have a splinter in the brain too. You know, we may live a decent spiritual life, but we have these secrets about ourselves. You know, and that might come out. You know, and you bringing somebody into the world. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. You know, or it might be a person that you encountered some lifetimes ago, and you've been trying to work out the differences. They might be your child. Your worst enemy might be your child. Because why? Because you didn't forgive them. Because why? Because you got into a conflict with them, and you let it go to the max, without just forgiving them immediately, without just trying to help them, regardless of what they did to you. You know, so like Jesus said, turn the other cheek. You know, Jesus was one of the greatest masters of love energy that ever came to this earth. So he told us many secrets about how to burn up negative karma through love. Mahatma Gandhi, another great cosmic master that came to this earth, I mean, he taught many secrets about doing that, about burning up negative karma through love, through nonviolence. You know, so you know, we perpetuate the madness, even though we live a good spiritual life. We perpetuate little madness is in our own little world. So not saying that you meet the right spiritual woman and that you're gonna have all spiritual kids. No way. No way. You have you have relationships that extend back for a million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 18 million, some 20 million lives. And years. So no, no. But you can you can try to spiritualize your environment to, even if they come, you can spiritualize the environment so much that you begin to burn up those eons of negative karma between you and everyone that was around you, and everybody will be the benefit of it. But no, but it is we should try to create the proper environment, because once you begin to walk this road, it's a lonely road, and once you begin to walk it, you will you can see where it's not easy, and you're not going to have too many opportunities to actually bring somebody on to this world, and you be a part of that that perfect relationship, and that when you die, you're going to work hard to try to get back, because there's not going to be too many opportunities for you to come back if the world continues the way it's going right now. So, any other questions? There's no other questions?
No. Unless they're typing, but I don't see anything right now. All right. Is there any final questions, guys? Otherwise, we'll close out for this week. Next week is the 30th, so I don't know if we'll have class or not. Keep your eyes on Meetup, and you'll see an announcement come out if we do. Okay, I think this is a statement to see if they understand.
What's that?
It says Vak occurred and continues, and life is built on the initial sounding and waves, with the other sounds following.
Which other sounds?
The other, nada, mind, prana, love, or patterns, I guess she means.
Well, when the initial sound has everything in it. Remember, the initial sound is nata shati. Everything else is a modification of shati. But it's still shati, in other words. So the initial sound have the beginning, the middle, and the end wrapped up in it. It's the signature of the absolute. So it is complete. You understand? So it's complete. Now, the laws of creation, the lesser laws of creation, which is the galaxies, the solar system, the the suns, all of those are gods and lords of creation. They repeat the sound because they understand that that is the ingredients to life. It's just like you cook this nice, this great cake, you know, and you have all the ingredients to it. And I witness you cook that. So when I get ready to cook my cake, I'm gonna use the same ingredients. so the galaxy, being the Lord of creation, or aspect of the Lord of creation, what does it do? It repeats the sound of the absolute, you know, and then all the millions of suns within the galaxy and the solar systems within the galaxies, they repeat the sound too, because the sound works, you know, and then life goes on, you know, and that's what the nature finder forces was talking about, you know, that you had this succession of repeating the sound. You know, once the initial sound was given, everything that actually came from that sound, which is all things, repeated the sound too in order to sustain the manifested world. And they continue to repeat it to this day. So that's what that meant. But within the initial sound was everything.
So did that help you, Loretta? Sound created all incompleteness. It is our perception. She said, okay, so she's saying the initial sound created all incompleteness. The initial sound is everything. It is our perception that sets beginning, middle, and end. In this perception, we are instructed in the creative principle and karma.
The what now?
In this, I think she's trying to explain her following of the subject.
Well, the initial sound is
It's complete.
It's complete.
Yeah.
It has everything in it, karma, because it is the framework of karma. The intelligence of the initial sound. Remember, the intelligence signature within the initial sound is karma. Okay, and then the consciousness within the sound is mind. You know, the energy that allows everything to move is prana. And then the thing that sustains it from cycle to cycle is love. Because when you love something, you do what?
You preserve it.
You preserve it. So that's the whole thing of it. And it just continues to repeat itself. You know, when a mother has a child, what does if that mother in sound mind, what does it do? It nurture and preserve that child so that that child can reach adulthood. So it's just repeating what it knows instinctively. So and the galaxy does the same thing. The sun, the solar systems, the suns, the planets, the moons. You know, they repeat an action that they know that will sustain life. The same way we instinctively breathe. And when we no longer want to exist on this realm, we refuse to breathe. As simple as that.
Is the initial sound repeated by the absolute or just said that one time? Well, I don't think that's not correct either.
Why? No, the initial sound, the absolute continuously repeat the sound in order to keep everything in manifestation. Remember, the galaxy is part of the absolute. The solar system is part of the absolute.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the how did Dr. King say the 90,000, or the Master Jesus, 90,000 galaxies, galactic lords,
Mm-hmm.
right? They are part of the absolute. You know, uh, is it 90 or 900,000? I can't remember.
It's a big number.
Yeah. So they are part of the absolute. So of course the absolute continues to repeat it, but it repeats it and repeats it through them, and repeats it through everyone.
So then the only thing actually speaking is the absolute, but through different vehicles of expression.
Yeah.
The modifications of the initial complete sound is never altered. Visionary, I don't understand your question. The modifications of the initial complete sound is never altered. Okay, yeah, your correction, yeah, okay. So the initial sound is maintained through the modifications. Yes. Maybe variations is a better term than modification, because I think you're assuming that the sound is modified. It's not.
Well, it's not that it's modified. Different aspects are accentuated. In other words,
Like in white light is contained all the colors.
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. So is in other words, we are told by the great yogis that the sound that keeps mankind alive, the soul repeats a sound 600, I think it's 621,000 times a day,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, but when you go to medical science say you breathe 600,
Mm-hmm.
thousand times a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the yogis said that it is the Hamsam mantra that keeps us alive.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially that's the inhale and the exhale of our breath. It makes a sound. And that sound is the sound that the soul is actually repeating in complete silence, which triggers this body to breathe, to inhale and exhale, 621,000 times a day. So now, does that sound like the original sound? The original sound of our solar system, there's two actually sounds. There's one visible sound that's given out to us, which is the AUM.
Mm-hmm.
That sound is given, and we know that the sun is repeating that sound. But there's a female sound that's not given to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the male sound, the creative energy male sound, AUM, is given to us, but there's a female sound that's not given to us. But Hamsun does not sound like AUM,
Mm-hmm.
but it is an aspect of AUM. See, it's an aspect of AUM, and now in the body, in the 7 chakras, there's 50 sounds that's repeated by this body that we know of, and we have mapped those down. And those are the petals of the chakras. We know that there's 4 sounds in the root chakra, the base chakra. There's 6 sounds in the sex center, in the sex chakra.
Mm-hmm.
There's 10 sounds inside the solar plexus chakra that's continually repeated. Then there's 12 sounds inside the heart chakra, and there's 16 sounds within inside the throat chakra. Then there's 2 sounds in the Christ chakra, and that's 50 sounds. Now, on a whole different spiritual realm, there's 1,000 sounds that's repeated. Not necessarily 1,000, almost 1,000, 990 some sounds that's repeated in the crown chakra, which is totally unrelated to us because we are actually a sixth chakra being, and we aspire to become part of the crown chakra realm of existence. That's our great goal. But we actually operate on those on the other chakra, and a tiny 100 of probably a millionth of a whole is the Brahmanati that extends from the Brahma chakra or the crown chakra all the way down to the base chakra, and that's what connects us to the crown chakra. But the only one that operates through that is the Christ chakra, that gives us the commands. But we don't reach that Buddhic chakra, which is the Brahma chakra, until we actually ascend or become an avatar. And that's the science and the path that we're given. But each one, those 50 sounds, we have to control those 50 sounds. We have to meditate on each one of them as we move Kundalini up to operate under full consciousness. So that's the difference.
I was saying modifications is correct, but not to think of it as it being altered or changed. It's just, like you were saying, an aspect of the initial sound is repeated based on the level of consciousness of a particular end that it's being spoken to. A sound is knitted.
That's all the questions? Or?
Why is the female sound not given to us? What do you mean females? What do you mean by female sound?
The female sound of the mantra I was talking about.
Oh.
That's coming from the sun. It's only given through initiation. It is given, but it's given through initiation. You have to develop yourself to a certain degree before it's given to you. Is that all the questions?
I think so.
Yes, and we'll close out with a prayer.
Okay. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up, and in doing so receive to their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength, so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. O great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing, grant it energy to sing on forever and forever. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned to Meetup to see if we will have a class next week, Sunday the 30th.